Well, hello, everybody. I'm so pleased to be with you and to see all the smiling faces and the names that I've worked with too, all over the years. And today I have a very special guest. In fact, this is the first time or second time Sandee and I have actually met, quote unquote, face to face. Let me tell you a little bit about today and what we're going to do, and then I'll introduce Sandee. We're going to run probably 45 minutes to an hour, something like that. No more than an hour, most likely, I promise you. And Sandee's going to be sharing her tips, and about in the middle, 3/4 through, I'll share 5 tips for your business plan so that you all know how this all fits into the bigger picture. Please put your questions or your comments in chat. Just because I don't know, we have 60-some people registered. Usually about half of them show up. This is the Christmas season, so I'm not sure. But that's basically how we'll proceed. At the end too, excuse me, I'll tell you how to get the slides that I show you and how to get in touch with Sandee. So I'd like to now introduce you to Sandee McDuffie, who the reason I asked her to be the guest is out of about 15 really good agents that I called to help screen for a new manager, Sandee was the only one afterwards that ever put me on her contact list and followed through. And when I say followed through, I don't mean just once, all different ways. Well, I'm always so impressed by that. And you guys, you never know where referrals are going to come from, do you? So always be generous in adding people to your database. You know, the worst thing that could happen is, somebody can say, I never want to hear from you again. And then you're just dropped out. I always like to hear from all of you, though, to see what you're doing. So let me introduce my guest, Sandee McDuffie. And Sandee, would you please tell people before you launch into our topic, but gee, how did you get to real estate as a career?
Oh, that's a good one. My ex-husband, actually, he thought I would be good at this. And so I got so fed up of him telling me that I would be good at it that I bought him the books and told him to leave me alone and just go do it himself. But it was eventually, I actually was a professional singer for 25 years. And I had a hernia surgery and could not sing for 3 weeks. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go get my real estate license. Mm-hmm. And that's how it all began. Then I became a single mom very shortly after that. And so, this was as good a career as any where I could, be present for my children and start to build my own business.
Mm-hmm. You told me a little bit about singing, but I never asked you, just out of curiosity, what kind of singing did you do? What kind of?
I worked on cruise ships for many years, and I was trained in musical theater. But here in Vegas, I was actually a gondolier at the Venetian. So I was rowing those boats and singing light opera, and I did that for 9 years.
I kind of thought you probably were, just from listening to your voice, not only a trained singer, but you probably did some pretty relatively serious stuff. Well, thank you. Well, as we go too, I'd like all of you to think about this, as I always talk about, since I've been a musician since I was 4 years old. But what's like you? What's like you when you are talking to referral sources or doing some of these kinds of events that Sandee's going to tell you about? Because I think a lot of times we come into real estate and we think we're just a clean slate and we don't know nothing about nothing. Boy, that's what I thought. But we're always bringing our talents and skills from our former lives. And I think a lot of times we don't optimize that. The reason to optimize it too is it makes you feel good about yourself when things are tough. So as you listen to Sandee, see if you can pick out some things about what she says that may have come from her experience of traveling all over the world. I'm sure working with all types of people and getting into all types of situations. So Sandee, my first question is at the beginning, and this is for you, either newer agents, or people really have never started this. We have to start at the beginning. How did you start this referral-based business?
Yeah, I had an amazing mentor in my office. His name was Jimmy Daig, is Jimmy Daig. I mean, he's still around. He was, he connected me to the Buffini trainings,
Mhm.
which is calls, notes, pop buys, and getting into relationship with people. And as you said, you know, bringing something from my former life, what what I did in my former life was bring an experience to people, bring a connection to people. Singing is not just about communicating, it's about connecting. And so the Buffini system seemed to be more in a line with something that I felt that I would enjoy rather than a pushy salesperson, which was what I thought real estate was, which is why I never wanted to go to school to do it. You know, I am not a salesperson.
Mhm.
And now that's my approach to my business. I'm not a salesperson. I'm helping people and connecting with people.
Mhm. But that's such a great point is, yeah, I've noticed over the years that people show me their business cards and they many times don't put anything about salesperson. And I always wonder, are they ashamed of it? Don't they know what it is? But I think a lot of times we can't figure out a way to make it okay to help
Right.
people find out that we are worthy of their business. So, and look back to your, did you sell Girl Scout cookies or, anything like that when you were a kid? And did you enjoy it? And like Sandee said too, a real important part of this is if you enjoy making people feel good about something and accomplishing something, that's just perfect to start a referral business. So, Sandee, as you started this referral business, what are some of the first things that you did? Because I'll bet, without asking, I'll bet probably half the people listening to this live or recording are probably less than a couple of years in the business.
Yeah. I mean, the system is calls, notes, and pop buys. So calling, handwritten notes, and delivering pop buys, which we can talk about a little bit more and dig into what exactly that means. I'm saying pop buy. I'm not saying pot pie.
Oh,
Sometimes
yeah.
people are like, with the accent, they're like, what did she say? And I'm going to give you all a really fantastic script right now. So write this down. I know we don't like making calls. None of us like making the calls, right? It's the hardest part. So here's the script. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
That's it. Happy holidays, if that's what floats your boat. Just call. And this is a fantastic opportunity right now to just call and wish people Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever resonates with you, and just say hello. You know, it doesn't have to be real estate. Obviously, if they know that's what you do, very oftentimes that conversation circles around. They ask how business is or how the market is, and you can have that conversation. You know, but that's it. It's super simple.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. It is. And I think a lot of times we think we always have to ask for business. And I'm like, no, we don't want people to think that of us. We're more than that. And it's that relationship that we're creating, that trust relationship that does help us in the long term. It does. But that's not the reason at this time of year, especially this time of year, or any special occasions, we're touching base. We're touching base to show we care more than that commission we got once.
And the call for the new year can be, you know, hey, you know, I just want to share with you my goals for this year. I mean, you're going to do the Ford script, I'm going to get it all wrong, but what you probably know it off heart, Carla. Friends, occupation. We all know the Ford script.
Family.
Yeah. And you know, you're having that conversation. Happy New Year. Just wanted to reach out and see how things are. And have you got any goals or resolutions? And this is mine. My goal is to help 60 families buy and sell real estate this year. And who do you know that you can introduce me to that I can help them achieve their goals too.
Absolutely. And isn't that perfect? I'm sure if especially if, well, not even if they work, I mean, if they don't work outside the home, maybe their family has made their family goals or trying. And it's always a challenge, I think, because we probably didn't learn that in school. So how do we learn how to do that stuff? So you could take the perspective of you share your goals and a little how you got there, and can you help them with any kind of their goals?
Right.
That's awesome. So share with us, and just the kind of bigger picture is for 2022. Sandee, what are your goals in referral business?
My business is probably 95% referral. We have a relocation page that we do some business from there. We did about 4 units from there this year, but the rest of my business, so we're going to close 50 units this year. The rest of my business is entirely referral. It's about 50-50 between agent referral and sphere of influence referral. So agents are part of my database, building agent relationships, and that obviously said that that's how we had stayed in touch, because you called to interview me to give you my feedback on somebody you were wanting to hire. And I was like, well, while I have you on the phone, do you have a referral partner here in Las Vegas? And can I stay in touch? And that's what I've done. And I've had an opportunity to learn so much from you as well from our conversations. So you just never know where that next opportunity is going to come from. But it's predominantly by referrals. So we do we connect, we touch our database at least 36 times a year. The agents probably not as much as that. So agents will, but I will call. I call quarterly and just say, hey, what's up? Remember me? How's things? How's business? I love the agent calls because I always get to learn something new.
And when Sandee, when we got, we first went in this COVID thing, I did a little series for a real estate office on how to pivot your business and doing a little pivot. I can't even say it, pivot business planning. And Sandee had done some really cool things. And so I shared those with the people in the class, and I put them in the little, Google Drive in the area so they could come back and look at any time. Now, I don't know who did or how many, but that's another touch not only Sandee could make to me, but of course, with her permission, I showed all these people what she was doing. So who knows, she might have gotten some referrals from those agents because I was kind of endorsing what she was doing and also encouraging them at that point to reach out. So you never know, like you said, how far it's going to go.
Never know.
So what, Sandee, if you will share, what are some of the results from your referral plan? And you could break it up into, your clients versus the agent population, if you would.
Yeah. I think we've done 15 pieces of actually really mostly heavy on the agent side. So about 15 pieces of business came from my sphere of influence. 4 pieces of business came from our relocation page. 3 pieces of business came from Command, which is the Keller Williams referral database. And then another 15 pieces of another 27 pieces of business in total from agent relationships.
Okay, great. And what can you kind of describe overall what's your plan of action or your marketing plan to each of those markets in order to get those kind of results?
It's the same for both. It's a little less intense, I guess, for agents because I feel like I probably need to touch them a lot less. But I would do, if I go to a conference or something like that, I'll organize a networking mixer so I can get together with people. So getting that face-to-face. For clients, it's I do 2 client parties a year that I specifically host. My office is amazing. They actually put on at least 2 other events throughout the year that we can just piggyback on. We do a spring fling, we do a trunk or treat, and I just get to piggyback on those events. And then right now for our clients, so I have all of my clients in a VIP group on Facebook, and we're doing the 12 days of giveaways right now. So we have over $1,000 worth of prizes, which have cost me nothing because they're all supplied by our vendors. And we ask questions in there. So actually today is the grand finale for the questions for the grand prize. And the questions there are, the last question is, what is Sandee's favorite thing? A, pickles, B, Monday mornings, or C, referrals.
Okay.
So we've had a lot of fun doing this giveaway. And, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to give a little fun, gentle reminder that, hey, you've all won some great prizes, and, don't forget, this is what I do.
So you've got them all in this Facebook group. And then is every day is a question that they answer?
So the 12 days of giveaways, we skipped weekends. So that's why it took us to the 17th. So we skipped the weekends on that. And that's the first year we've done this, but it's just been so much fun. And then we did the pie giveaway, the reverse pie party in November. May is usually when I do my next Christmas party, my next client party. So we've done portraits in the park during COVID because we couldn't get together. But we've done bowling, we've done a movie theater event. I've done afternoon tea because, British. And I actually sang at that event too. I actually performed for my guests.
Oh,
so
cool.
that was kind of fun. I don't know that I would do that anymore. It's been a long time since I sung. But yeah, it just staying top of mind and doing fun things. And then the pop buys, if I can elaborate on what they are just little gifts that I drive by. Hopefully, my clients are home when I do this. And I just pop by the house with a little gift. So in January, we're going to be doing hand soaps. They had them at Bed Bath & Beyond on sale. They were like $3. That's the most I will spend on a pop buy. And we package it up all nicely, and it has a little gift bag, little gift tag, something really cheesy like, so you know how much I appreciate your referrals, or let's have a clean real estate transaction. And it's just another fun way to stay top of mind.
And we have that is so great. We have a question from one of our attendees that asks, how do you convince the vendors to contribute? And also, would you tell us what kinds of things the vendors contribute? Is it always money or some services or what?
Yeah, I mean, how do we we send them a lot of business throughout the year. And they get we send out marketing materials where we can like advertise their services on there if it's pertinent to that month. But we do a lot of business, so it's like it's one hand washes the other. So if I'm going to send you all this business, how are you going to support me? And it sometimes it cannot be with referrals because they know a million other realtors, right? Like your home inspector, he's not just working for you. So I will have a conversation with them sometimes. Hey, I know you know a lot of realtors. If you did hear of somebody who was thinking of buying or selling, would you make me one of the 3 names that you would just throw my hat in the ring. I'll do the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And then if that doesn't happen at the end of the year, I'm like, hey, we sent you X amounts of pieces of business. We're doing this giveaway. We're going to get your name in front of our clients again. And is there something that you could contribute?
Mm-hmm.
So we've gotten, gift cards, gift baskets. Sometimes they just want to give us the gift cards and the money, and then I'll put the baskets together so it looks a little more substantial. The charity that we partner with, they put a big basket together for us of things like we sponsor a Path for Pause. So every home that we sell, we donate to a Path for Pause. So they put a big basket together for us as well. Just don't be afraid to ask. What's the worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to say no. And we don't like that. And it's icky, but nobody died.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, my experience is most of the our affiliates want to be asked. They would like to take more part in our business. And maybe sometimes what we ask is they can't do for whatever reason, either legally or money or whatever. But if they probably want to do something. So if you kind of brainstorm with them, you can usually come up with something that they can do at some extent.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll do it out of their own pocket if they legally can't through the business, because they do want to help. So our insurance guy put together a basket of he did like a holiday cheer basket. So there was a lot of booze in there. I wish I'd entered myself. But
they didn't give you any basket.
No, I didn't get any. But he just texted me to say that the winner of the basket just called him, and he's looking at giving her an insurance quote. Wow. He's going to make a lot more than that $100 basket cost him. So, and he does a great job for her. She's going to refer him to her friends.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So there's a benefit in it for everyone. It's a win-win.
Well, we're going to pause with Sandee for just a minute, and I'll quickly share my 5 recommendations for you. And then we'll go back, and I'd like to find out more too about Sandee and her client events. Because when I watched agents do these, and I've attended some, they're just inspiring to go to, because everybody's at their best. So for a minute, let me share my screen, and I will share something with you guys too that I probably should. But so I came down here to my office to get ready for this, right? And I had everything set up, but my computer had given me Microsoft 11, Windows 11. And so therefore I don't have 2 screens. I have a little one. That's why I'm doing like this. But so I'm going to probably have to find these things to share. Yes, I am going to have to find these things to share because they've all disappeared. So I will find them. Here we go. In just a minute. Okay, compo. Yeah. Okay, here we are. Now let's go back and see if I can go to the share. Yeah, there it goes. Yay. Okay. All right. The first thing I wanted to show you before I got to some specifics was just this. I attended a little training on business planning yesterday, but it was such a high level. It was all full of platitudes and think like a business person. And I'm thinking, well, that's all good, but how? I'm a great how person, like Sandee, we're musicians. And so we know, like, unless she sings, unless I put my fingers on the keys as a pianist, nothing much happens. So we can talk about the what, but what's the how? How do we do this? Well, the difference, a lot of times we go to all these seminar guru things, and even just like the one we're doing now, we're talking about a lot of what's, but how do we fit them into what will work for us? Because one of the things agents tell us all the time, won't work for me in my area. and sometimes that's true, but sometimes it's a cop out. But Just want to show you for a minute what I came up with several years ago when Dearborn Publishing asked me to write the book on business planning. So this comes from the strategic planning process, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but just to say that if you're struggling with what to do next year, it's probably because you left out the part of your business plan that's going to give you all those answers. And that part is this first part about vision. How do you want to end up? And then the review. What happened last year? In a minute, I'm going to share something with you, and I'll show you the link later about how to get it. But reviewing what your business is like. I've been asking Sandee questions about, where did she get this business and how much? How much did she get from that? And what did she do? Well, she reviewed her last year to come up with all this. So the review is extremely important because after you get those answers, guess what? Pretty much tells you what your goals are going to be. It pretty much gives you the answer. But when you leave out this first part of the thought process, all you're left is trying to copy what some seminar guru told you what to do, and it never works out very well. So that's just what I want to show you about the overall of the business planning process. The next thing quickly is that 11 things, and let me find that, and I might have to go back and go all through this again. Yes, I will. Okay. Let me take a minute. Okay, here we are. All right, here we're going now. Yes, okay. This is what this looks like. And again, you're going to get this as a handout later, but these are I think, the 11 most important questions to ask yourself in that review process before you actually, put down all this stuff that somebody told you to do or you think you should do. Showings ratio to sales, I'll just skip through them. Numbers of sales. Oh, and here's numbers of sales and numbers of listings sold. What's your ratio? For new agents, you're going to sell a lot more houses than you're going to list and listings sell. And what would you, if you're at the end of year one, you've done 75% sales and 25% listings sold, how would you like to rebalance that? And that's going to tell you then the actions to take in your next year's business plan. But if you don't know that one, you don't really know the direction you want to head. And then what Sandee and I are focused on is your percent of business from referral and repeat business. So you guys, who knows what percent of their business was return and referral? And since I'm in the share, I won't go out and ask you per se, but how many of you actually know what that was? And then for next year, what's your goal? Well, when I ask this, when I'm teaching business planning, a lot of agents say, well, 100%. And I said, well, do you know what yours was last year? No. Pretty hard to shoot for 100% if you didn't know. But do you know what the National Association of Realtor stats are? Well, repeat and referral put together was, of all the agents they surveyed, and they surveyed thousands for NAR surveys, the last survey done said 34%. So is that high enough? Most of us on this Zoom call would say, no, that's not high enough. So shoot for one that's high enough that you know that you're spending your time and money in the very best way possible. So here are the recommendations for next year. And I think I'm going to have to go back and find those too, but let's just see what's up here. Got to go find them. I had them up, but they disappeared. It's okay. I'll find them back. And again, you're going to get these also from me. Now I'll share the screen. It's going to show up, I think. All right. The first one is, and you've probably heard this, but oh my gosh, it's the key. I take part quite often, and I have an online course for new agents. And it's basically the business planning process for new agents, but it puts them to work at the very beginning, which is lead generation. Generally, any new agent training program is going to tell people, new agents, to add 25, 50, 100 people, whatever, to their CRM or database weekly. Our experience as trainers is they don't do it. And so they wait and been in the business 3 to 6 months. And oh my gosh, they've got people at best on, sticky notes, which you lose. And so they have basically lost thousands and thousands of dollars of business. They're not thinking of the business as one of continuity. They're thinking of snag one, sell them fast, snag another. And what Sandee's talking about is not the snag and push aside, but start the relationships and keep that relationship going forever, because you don't know. So that's number one. I know it sounds basic, but my experience is most agents don't do it, even experienced ones. And then automate your marketing. Sandee's talked a bit about that. A lot of companies have automated marketing programs now. Take advantage of it. You guys don't know how lucky you are. When I started in real estate, man, we didn't have CRM. We had to put people, they literally gave us a recipe box with some cards and said, put people in there. And I went, yes, sir. But at least I knew where they were, and they weren't on sticky notes that I tend to lose. So if you haven't done it to that extent, take advantage. You're paying your company anyway. Take advantage of the marketing that the company set up. That's not all you're going to do, but it's a heck of a lot easier trying to figure it out yourself. And then, as Sandee says, spend a lot more time and money on your best sources of business. I'm kind of stunned that the NAR stats say only 34% of an agent's business comes from that. But I think partly it's because there are a lot of new agents all the time. They snag them once and then they drop out of the business. So that's part of it. But I also think that agents still haven't gotten the picture that it costs 6 to 9 times more to get a new client as to keep an old one. Plus, it's a lot more pleasant to do business again with people that love you and want to support your business. And then what Sandee's going to talk about in a minute is create a marketing plan to agents for referrals and add to your value added services. I want to get back to Sandee. So I'm not going to ask you this and ask you to answer me in the chat box, but if you, just for yourself, just for a minute, write down 3 value added services you provide. A study of all companies of sales agents asked that question. And what they discovered was what agents thought were value added, clients thought were expected. So when you take a look at your services that you think are value added, are they really value added from the client's perspective? And choose a few of those things that truly are value added, because that's how you'll differentiate yourself and step out. So I don't have any specific recommendations because you don't need them. When you do these things, then you'll be able to pick and choose the specifics. And I know Sandee would say this, and I'll say this. The truth is, you guys, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you do it. So don't worry so much about getting the right thing. It ain't the magic bullet. It's basically the consistency over time that gives you the payoffs. If you want to know more about the business planning process from the strategic perspective of thinking through all this, it's all on Beyond the Basics of Business Planning, and I'll give you more information on that at the end and where you can find that stuff. So Sandee, let's go back to you.
All right, fire away.
Okay. I'd like to know about a little bit more about your client events. When I've gone to them as a guest, I'm just always knocked out at how appreciative the clients are and how warm and supportive and inspiring it really is, the relationships that have been fostered.
One thing I will say about client events is not to worry too much about how many people come. It's about the fact that you actually invited them and the opportunity to touch them, so many times before the actual event. So we have a couple of playbooks that we put together. We put together one for our pie party, which we do every November. We call the Gratitude Gathering, and we give a Costco pie. We had to pivot that because of COVID to make that a drive-by event, but it used to be a party that we put on. And so I'm happy to share that. If anybody wants the playbook, they can connect with me afterwards. But those events are more like, there's a save the date. And then there's a call. Hey, did you get the save the date? Then there's an Eventbrite or what's the other one? Not the Sign Up Genius. Evite.com. So an Eventbrite or Evite.com goes out where they actually reply, yes, RSVP on there. Then there's a text reminder. Then there's a slide aisle email, a slide aisle blast. Hey, this is the last date. I've touched them 5 times now. 5 times before they even come to the party. And then if they come to the party, then there's 6. So constantly just reminding them during that 6-week run up to the event, they might talk to a lot of people during those 6 weeks. I see Genevieve's on the call. I know she has had huge success from her pie party that she did, and can actually track those numbers back to a number of referrals. With the pie party as well, we always say if they can whip us up a referral between now and the party, we give them a can of whipped cream to go with the pie.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so we walked away with 2 referrals from our last pie party.
Wow, that is great. That is awesome. What are your favorite ways of remembering and thanking your clients? Just explain, the specifics of what are your favorite ways and how do you do it?
We use send out cards a lot. We do send out cards to, if I see they've had a major event, be that a good or a bad event, either we're offering congratulations or condolences usually. But we recognize that we're watching them and watching their lives. So anything that comes up on Facebook, we'll, steal those pictures, births of babies, whatever it may be, and send out card. We do purchase anniversaries. So the first purchase anniversary, they get brownies, which is another send out card gift. And subsequent anniversaries, I always recognize with a phone call and then a follow-up handwritten note saying, can't believe it's been 5 years. I mean, recently I was sending out an 8-year-old from when I first got into the business. So I'm like, oh my gosh, 8 years. And you were like one of my very, very first clients. And thank you I want to work with more people like you. So who do you know that I can help? And send them a purchase anniversary card next year. It's you have to stop communicating with people and start connecting with them. I think that's actually a quote from Mark Zuckerberg, so I won't take credit for that one.
That's a great point. That's a great point. It kind of gets on my nerves when people write, do this and this is what you say. And I'm thinking, well, maybe if they don't know how to write anything, it makes sense. But I'd much rather teach the principles and let people find their own words, because it's more human. Like you said, it's not just, you should keep contact 12 times a year. And I'm like, no, come on, be human about it. And be yourself. Of course, at your best, but be yourself. don't copy someone else's script because they told you to, but
Yeah,
look at the principles.
absolutely. And it's I you know that there's a set number of touches that there's supposed to be, but for us it's about being in relationship. And with the agents, the same thing. With agents, we're not maybe going to call as often, but I do 4 times a year, and then I send out emails, and we use Bonbon Video for both the agent sphere and the client sphere. We with agents, we share things like the playbook. I'm love to help other agents grow and share, this is what's working for us. And yeah, I mean, just coming from contribution always.
Mm-hmm. I know people want to learn more about getting referrals from agents. I think you're only the second agent that's ever kept in touch with me over time. Truly, I mean, yeah, I do get some newsletters from people, but I know that's all automated, but really keep in touch of all the thousands of agents that I've come across. So tell us, in other words, what I'm saying is, I think that's really virgin territory that people could really work. So tell us, how do you do it?
Well, I realized that during COVID, because I was making care calls to my clients. And then I made a call to an agent that I really thought I'd had a great connection with. The thing is, I have a little bit of an elephant memory, and I can remember conversations with people. I remember where I met them. And I remembered having this amazing conversation with this agent. And when I called her, she said, "Who?" And I was like, "Oh, wow, I remember, but you don't remember. So I haven't done a good job of keeping in relationship with you." And that's when I realized I need to do a better job of staying in relation with my agent partners too. And so I started making care calls to the agents. Hey, it wasn't just the rest of the world and agents were fine. We're just going to make care calls to all our clients and we're fine. We weren't fine. That was scary for us too. So those were my calls. Hey, how are you doing? And how's business? And how are you pivoting? And it just stuck from there, and until we actually were like, we have to have a plan around this. So 4 calls a year, texts that we send on holidays, the 12 emails that we send out, with a little video, sometimes sharing playbooks, and I think that's it. And then notes, and then and if we do get a referral from an agent, I will send a note card with a pair of socks in there, the British flag socks that say, "We're going to knock the socks off your referral. Thanks for the opportunity." And then when we close a transaction with an agent, not only do they get the check, but we ask them to fill in a little questionnaire. One of the questions on there is, what is a bucket list item a bucket list place that you would like to travel to? So then once they fill that in, let's say it's Australia, I'll go onto Amazon and send a travel guide on Australia and say, "Thank you for the referral, and I hope this inspires you to book your bucket list trip to Australia."
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
It's no different to really what we do with our agent, with our our sphere of influence.
And I think what you'll find is that good agents are really good at promoting you too.
Yes.
You guys might see back there, see the red and white book. It's called Launching Right in Real Estate, What They Won't Teach You in Pre-License School. And I just finished that book. And I'd asked several great agents to review it and some to contribute. And one of them, who I've worked with, reviewed it and wrote a nice review. But not only that, when she got the book, she took the picture of the book and her, and she's also a singer, the book and her, and I'd written a little card, my little note cards, a lot of them are musical stats or, pieces of music, looks like Beethoven or something, I don't know. And anyway, so she put that on her Facebook page, and she's got thousands of followers. So it was much better than my promoting it. Rebecca promoted it. So think in terms of how you can promote agents in other areas, and they will promote you, I promise, because a lot of them are really, really good at that.
Yeah, a lot of agents will have, a lot of brokerages have like a Facebook group, where they ask for recommendations for plumbers or who knows what, but they'll ask who knows an agent in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And then those people are going to endorse me,
Yeah.
Not just because they got a pair of socks or a travel guide, I hope, but because we did a great job, and we use Folio, which is an add-on for Gmail. And if we have a referral partner on a transaction, they can follow along. They can see our timelines. So they don't have to call me and check in and where is that. Cool. They can see that. Fantastic. And I just wanted to answer Connie's question. What format do you use for the agent questionnaire? We use Google Forms. We use Google Forms for like everything. So the link where they can connect with me is a Google form. I love them. We use them for every single thing. Mm-hmm. We even use them to take to gather information. If an agent is writing an offer on one of our listings, they have to put it in on this Google form, and it automatically populates to a spreadsheet, and they can add their forms in there as well, their RPA, their lender approvals, and then it's all in there. Google Forms, love them. I can't tell you how to do that because I have an amazing assistant there.
I can't either, but it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Great. So Sandee, we have time for actually a couple of things. And before we kind of close this out, we have to ask you, what are the biggest or some mistakes that you've made and that you would, I know we could always ourselves come up with a big list, but 2 or 3 things that you'd say to the agents, I did this, don't do this.
I knew you were going to ask this question. Oh gosh, this makes me sick to my stomach.
You don't have to answer.
No, because I made some mistakes. I hired an ISA one time that was highly recommended from other agents and had produced business for them. So I just went purely on their recommendation. He wanted what I should have done, and what I now do is like the 30, 60, 90. But I was going to save $500 if I paid him for 3 months up front. And it was the end of the year, and we're all trying to like get rid of end of year money. I'll give it to the tax man, right? Mm-hmm. So I hired him for the 3 months, and I paid him $4,000, and he did nothing.
Oh.
And I paid him through PayPal, friends and family. Mm-hmm. And I had absolutely no recourse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was a very painful, expensive mistake. Mm-hmm. And I would say we've been chasing, you and I had talked about the 3-legged stool and the 3 different pillars of income. So I have my agent to agent database, I have my Sphere database, and then we have this Facebook relocation page, which is maybe like, I don't know if it deserves a whole leg. And so I was desperately searching for this other leg, and I've put a lot of money into internet leads and not paying for them, but running ads and creating systems or hiring leverage systems like Conversion Monster. And, I know a lot of agents that have had tremendous success with that. but I've always just been chasing. And I think I've probably lost more money than I've made. In fact, I can't even off the top of my head name one piece of business that we've closed from that. So, I've decided done. So those would be my biggest mistakes. But I don't necessarily pay for leads, but I paid for leverage that didn't really work for me.
Sure. And if we haven't done that, sometimes we just haven't taken enough opportunities.
Right.
It's true. So before we close, I'm going to ask Sandee some closing words of advice or things that she's thought about that she hasn't shared with us in just a minute. But I will share my screen, and I'll put up, Sandee has been nice enough to put a link to how you can connect with her. And I've got a link for you too, for several of those business planning, the recommendations, and the big, what do I want to say, process or system of thinking through your business, and a couple other things. So let me share that screen. And you're also going to get an email afterwards with all this stuff on it and the recording. So you don't have to take it down now, but if you want to, you sure can. So here's Sandee's link for you. So you can connect with her anytime you want and ask any questions. I think it's a questionnaire, isn't it, Sandee? Or they can at least go out.
It's the link that Connie asked me about, and you'll get to see what it is, and then you just check boxes and fill in your name. And
perfect.
We love these. We love these little links.
Okay. And then here's my little link. I'm not smart enough to change it to something customized. So it's just what it is.
I'll lend you my assistant.
I know. I didn't have time to ask my assistant because I just put this stuff up. So that's for mine is, so you can go and get that stuff now. Don't worry about even taking this off, but I just want you to know that Sandee and I have arranged so you have places to go after this. So Sandee, I ask if you'd share some closing words, anything that's occurred to you. And we will actually, Sandee, before we do that, let's do this. If you have anything that you'd like Sandee to answer that you haven't asked, would you put it in chat right now? And we'll get ready to close in just a minute. While they're doing that, Sandee, I would say this one thing. I wasn't nearly as on purpose as Sandee, but I did when I was selling a lot of his stuff. And one of the things I love to do, and I'm going to tell you guys this because it's Christmas time, is every Christmas, one of the agents in my office would represent a charity who sold these beautiful, great big poinsettias. So I would buy as many of them as I could get in my husband's van, which is quite a few. And I'd slam in the van, and on a Saturday, I'd take them all to my very best client. And one year I was a little slow at getting around to it. And I get this call. Hi, Carla, this is George in Tamashanner. I haven't got my poinsettia yet, and we're having a party tomorrow night. When you bringing that thing over? And I'm like, I created a monster. But isn't that great?
It is great.
Clients will actually call you because they remembered you do this all the time. I had the biggest kick out of that. So in a sense, when you do these things, and Sandee, I didn't tell you this, but my husband was a radio disc jockey. And so every year he'd make first tapes, which a friend of mine said became antique, and we better stop doing that. We went to CDs. So he would put together a whole collection of Christmas music, and it'd be different every year. And so it would be real hard to find stuff, right? And then we'd do a little thing about Merry Christmas, blah, blah, blah. And we would send it. Sometimes we send 400 or 500 of those out. And we haven't sent them for about 10 years. I still had somebody the other day on Facebook. I said something to her and she goes, and I've still got your Christmas tapes. And and then she said tapes. So they must be
Does
really
she have
old.
anything to play them on still?
I don't know. I didn't ask her that. Yeah. So realize that too, when you do something regularly, that you get to people's hearts in the best sense of the word. And when you do things that are kind of evergreen, like those poor tapes, yeah, they're still around, maybe the CDs, that you do things that people, not because they couldn't go to a store and buy some of this stuff, but because they know that you bothered to put this together. So do we have anything else on here, Cindy? I don't see anything else. We either did such a great job that there's nothing, or I don't know. So
No,
famous last
we
words.
covered it all. Famous last words. I have a couple of famous last words. First off, I want to thank Carla. She's been listening to us today, and she's one of my referral partners. I actually closed a referral for her and the beginning of this year, and she actually just connected me to another agent who I'm going to get another referral from. So just to say that, you know, staying in touch works. To your point, Carla, consistency is key. You've said that a couple of times. That is my mantra as well. Consistency is key. And I will leave you with a little gift for next Christmas. Here is the pop-by tag for this. It says, "Thank you for helping me wrap up a great year serving you and your referrals." Okay. What you're going to do after Christmas is you're going to go to Walmart or Target and you're going to buy rolls of wrapping paper for like 50 cents or 25 cents and gift bags for super cheap and fill them with bows, sellotape. And I go, that's my pop by. We've delivered like 60 or 70 of these over the past 2 weeks. It's just a roll of paper and gift tags, and the response, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. You saved me a trip to Target." You know, just amazing. And that's cost me like barely nothing, gas mostly, but the pop by itself. So I always have, if you come over to my house, rolls of Christmas paper in my garage. So but do it now. Do buy it after Christmas in the sales. Don't it, you know, if you want to go and spend the money and do it now, it's still a great pop by gift. And then I get the tape from the dollar store, 2 rolls of tape for $1.
That's awesome.
That it, you know, remember this for next year. Make a note. But if you want to do it this year, it'll cost you more like $5 to put together, but you can put it together for really cheap for next year.
Well, thank you so much, Sandy. That is a great idea. Yeah, you told me that before, but you see that what I love about Sandy is, first of all, she said yes. She didn't say to me, "Oh, I've got these secrets I won't tell them." No. Great agents say, "Yes, I'm glad to help because we are all in this together." I really appreciate it, Sandy.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
And for all of you out there, let us know what has happened. You can always email me, just Carla@carlacost.com. And Sandy, what's your email address?
It's Sandee, my first name, at the McDuffie Group, TheMcDuffiegroup.com.
All right, fantastic. For all of you there, thank you so much for tuning in, and our wish for a lovely, peaceful holiday and a stupendous 2022.